quorum. We have 100% attendance from the board members. Okay. And the first order of business is a review of the minutes of our previous meeting on January 23rd.
Did we want to change the date of the next meeting on the last page?
Well, it's the minutes.
So,
So that was the intent at the end of the meeting. And we changed it after the fact, so
don't matter.
I don't think we changed what happened at the meeting. Any additions, deletions, suggestions? Entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Roger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Right, minutes are approved. Okay, next item on the agenda is signing off on the annual report.
After our last meeting, I invited folk to review and provide comments to the annual report. Roger provided some comments which are incorporated in the draft that you have. I recirculated the report with the materials, and I have a clean copy in the middle of the page. If everyone is comfortable with it, if you could sign, and if you have any further changes, let me know what those are and I'll make those changes. And I think maybe you need a motion, or maybe that was part of the last, I think that was part of the last meeting. I'm sorry. You're right. Okay. Don't take it too much.
All right.
No. It's from these.
Thanks, everybody. Put it right here. Put it back in the center of the table.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the budget. First, the current year, and then hopefully the future year.
So Melinda, if you want to talk about where we are.
So I gave everyone 3 different documents in their packet. The first one is what the budget looks like through March 31st, broken down by different expenses. And then the second and third are just for detail. We are where we look at the last page. You will see that we're still right where we should be. There's only one more large one-time expense besides payroll. So we should be fine finishing up the fiscal year. And I just received the end of the year instructions, so we will start doing that soon.
Okay. I noticed for the general operations where it appeared to me we were right on pretty much for budgeting, and that the board is way behind because we haven't had a lot of work because of our vacancies. So what are you projecting for our carry forward possibility?
Maybe it won't be as what it was last year. So probably in the neighborhood of 15, 12 to 15, I would think, perhaps.
So we're gonna overspend in operations and underspend greatly in per diems.
Mhm. Yeah, so expenses that when looking at those areas where we have a deficit, those areas involved travel that we had last year that we either hadn't budgeted for because we hadn't been in the practice of not having that. And also food, there's a period of time when we were spending for lunches, and a couple of things out of our control increased, a couple of subscriptions, things like that. But I don't, I think that, we will have, enough, we will have a carry forward amount. I don't think it's going to be in the amount that we had last year. So, but we are not going to run out of money. Unfortunately, I don't think the carry forward would, and this is kind of segueing into my topic, future years, would be enough to pay for, a halftime position, or even contract for a halftime position. Recall that was an item that we, on the order of preference, ideally go for a halftime position, paid, benefited, permanent position. Alternative would be to have a sole source contracted position, so that it would be a temporary position. We would need to pay for benefits, which, increases the costs anywhere, up to 50%. We're not going to have enough carry forward money to pay for that. So I think what likely will happen is that the carry forward amount that we have, we would be using for the case management system maintenance, which, I'm still working on that now. So we haven't expended any out of pocket costs, but that will be coming up. You'll see that amount in our next board meeting. So if segueing into
Firstly, are there any questions on the current year?
No.
Okay,
So this past year, we had, as you recall, several budgets that were proposed to the administration. One is with the administration's status quo budget, which was basically increasing by about 3%. A second was having a budget that reflected our actual status quo, which increased the budget by about 4.5%. Finally, if we had our druthers budget, it provided for a halftime position, a permanent halftime position, which increased the budget, by, 12%, a little bit more than that. What we got back from the administration was, we'll maintain your status quo, meaning we won't hold you to 3%. We'll actually hold you to like 4.5%. When it came down to our actually running the numbers, though, because during the course of last year, Melinda went from 24 hours to 20 hours, our actual personal expenses for personnel costs decreased. But we didn't want to be penalized for that, because in the future that might go up again. So the budget that the administration approved actually provides for an increase of approximately 6.5%, which would be our status quo plus the differential between 20 and 24 hours. So that's what the administration said. That's your budget. While the administration was reviewing our budget, a couple of senators, Senator Keisha Ram Himsdale and Clarkson, Keisha Ram Himsdale approached me about, we've heard that you need, more funding. What if, I proposed legislation to increase funding. Her legislation would be by increasing funding by $150,000 a year, which was more than what actually it was $250,000 a year. It was more than what we requested. But if someone's proposing money, you know, I've proposed a budget to fit that, which would be an additional lawyer, which is, remember, that really would have been we had our
Yeah.
others. One was an additional lawyer, one was increasing your stipend, and one was a half-time webmaster data management person who could kind of update the website, maintain the case management system, and also kind of do a lot of the IT functions that Melinda and I are doing, and also fill in. I knew that wasn't going to be approved, but I wanted to put it out there. When that was happening, there was also other legislation that was being proposed to actually remove from the board its jurisdiction over grievances in state salary cases. So those two competing bits didn't advance, but I don't know if they canceled each other out or didn't have enough, neither had enough momentum, although Senator Clark Ram Himsdale is very interested in making sure that we have the adequate staffing. So that might continue into next year. So what we actually have going forward is the administration recommended budget, which is what you have before you. It's $361,293,000. It represents an increase of 6.5%. So that's what we have going forward. It's always kind of an estimate, guesstimate in terms of what our needs will be regarding per diems. We try to factor in what we've done in the past and estimate. But, you know, once we have the funds, how we use them, you know, we use them as needed going forward. So that's where we are. I had tried a couple of, in connection with the case management system, to hire someone on a part-time basis using the 4 hours that we had from Melinda's differential, and didn't get the person I was thinking of wasn't interested in it for that limited amount of time. It wouldn't really be adequate to accomplish the task, which I think is fair. So that's where we are with the budget. Going forward, I think because there is interest with some of the legislators for increasing our funding to provide some additional staffing, I think going forward, maybe, you know, early next fall, and it might be helpful to have myself and, you know, Bob or someone else from the board to really, you know, project a lean, mean, but realistic addition and what that position would serve, and actually pushing it. I've been somewhat cautious because the administration says one thing, but in talking with the legislative council, she shared that, I don't know if any of you have seen it in the press, the Human Rights Commission has been very vocal about their needs. And they similarly are an independent arm of the executive branch and haven't been shy about what their needs are, whether they're going to get it all. So I don't think it hurts us to say, look, this is what we need, and why. It's fairly modest compared to, you know, everything else that's going on. It is tough because, you know, the future fiscally for state government, federal government is uncertain, but, you know, I don't think it hurts to ask. So that's where we are.
That's always been my philosophy. It never hurts to ask. Any comments on what you heard?
I have a question. Sort of inserted in there somewhere was the suggestion on someone's part, or the thought on someone's part, to remove grievances from our purview, or grievances about CELRA.
CELRA, yeah, we don't have, CELRA is the only statute for which we have a jurisdiction to adjudicate grievances.
Right. What's up with that, or what was up? Where did that come? Where did
The
that come?
representative was a former VSEA staff member and very active in VSEA stuff.
So is that in line with VSEA's prior move to have, arbitration
Yeah.
go to
Yes,
the triple.
yes.
It's part of, it was part of that thinking.
And that would have been that's what would the alternative would have been. It would have been mandatory arbitration. So it would have eliminated the choice to bargain,
Mhm.
that piece.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if one of the reasons why it didn't go that way was because of what's happening federally,
Mhm.
which is a topic that
Yeah.
we'll talk about.
Right.
I don't think so, because that was earlier in the legislative session.
Right.
So it didn't get any traction
Mhm.
as far as I'm aware, and it didn't advance, didn't go beyond the.
Is that representative still with us?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he's
Connor?
Connor Casey.
Connor.
Oh, it's Connor Pacey?
Yeah.
And, I've known Connor for years. And back when the judiciary was organizing, management didn't oppose that.
Mhm.
And so I was working with them. We put in a contingency in the judicial
Yeah.
act to allow arbitration if both parties ever agreed. And of course, my intent was never to agree, but I didn't see any problem with having it as an option, that could be, used once in a while if necessary. So I think he's coming from that kind of position that, he was there back when we were doing that.
Yeah.
So, and he's all, VSEA has always wanted to move to arbitration, but never strong enough to really push it and try to use their political,
Yeah.
threads on getting it done.
I wonder if they've done the numbers most recently. Obviously I've lost touch with what arbitrators from AAA were costing, but it was pretty high when I was there, and
Well,
I
I think
assume
that-
it's only gone up.
I think it's costly, and I think that the decisions tend to give a little to both sides, and to me, then becomes more costly for the contracts but that's just, rumor and maybe just management.
Yeah.
Jargon, who knows?
Interesting.
But, the theory there was that arbitrators are a business. And they don't get return business if both sides don't have something, from it.
there's a way they stay neutral, and there's also I think a sort of implicit or tacit agreement about how many study days a decision costs.
Okay. So right now you don't see any things in the way of this budget passing?
No.
All right, well, I think we certainly can live with
Yep.
what's there. Especially that we'll be ramping up operations, hopefully if we get a couple of appointees and we get busy again.
Yep.
So let's move on then. Any other legislative stuff going on? You've mentioned the two bills that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, there was also another bill that also didn't go anywhere regarding decertification, having a decertification process similar to the card check process. So rather than having to go through kind of the reverse of a petition to form a union, which is what the current situation is now, it's if 50% plus one said we no longer want to be organized. And I was asked to testify in that, and then when I got there, I wasn't asked to testify on that. So, and it was just, it asked about, the process, the board process and things like that. And I repeated what the request was in response to Senator Rom Hinsdale. So that was the focus of it, not the legislation, which didn't go anywhere either.
All right. Next topic. Neutral board members.
So, Alan, we really appreciate your staying on as long as you've stayed on, and it's really been helpful to us and the people we serve. I heard from a reliable source that as of the end of March, the committee that selects nominees to be sent to the governor for his appointment of board members, that at least, four people's names have been forwarded to the governor. So that was about a month ago. I haven't heard anything since. So our next hearing is scheduled for June 5th. June 5th. I'm not looking at you, Alan, to do it. I'm just letting you know. Next hearing is June 5th. And so there are a couple of things, looking to you or your consent or input in whether we should. During this process, I've let the committee know, and I've also let the governor's staff know about our impending need for 2 neutrals because we have hearings coming. We need to schedule things. But should I contact that person again and say, hey, we need someone in the next 2 weeks. If not, we're going to have to continue the hearings what we currently have scheduled because we don't have neutrals and we need neutrals for those. So that's 1. 2 is if we don't have a neutral by May 12th, which is the second Monday in May, I think that we need to continue the hearing scheduled for June 5th because we may not be able to, if we don't have someone by by May 12th, as I think Michelle knows, once you're appointed, there's a bit of an orientation, and it might be, even if that person were appointed on that day or the next day, it might be a big ramp up to require that they be available on June 5th and that they be ready. So I would ask, my suggestion would be that if we don't have someone, or if the governor hasn't appointed anyone by May 12th, then we advise the parties, well, we're going to need to continue this hearing that's scheduled for June 5th.
Is it dismissal?
Let me look at
Case
hold on. I think it is a dismissal. Is it Lee? It's not, yeah, it's Lee. It is a dismissal. It's a pro se. So, yeah, it's a pro se person.
What department?
Corrections.
Which department?
Corrections.
Yeah, so, I don't. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. It wasn't a termination. It was a pay grade dispute. He's asserting he did not get, I was confusing with another one.
It was what?
He didn't get the pay grade he was promised for
Pay
accepting
raise.
a new position. So it's a pay grade. So
Pay grade.
if
It's
he,
not a classification.
it's a pay grade. So if he were to prevail, it would go back. So, yeah. So it's not,
But it's not as a result of a classification. It's a result of what he thought he was getting, when he applied for a new position with the organization.
yes. So right now we have Bob and Roger on a neutral, whoever that neutral is. So it isn't a termination.
It was a dismissal, I was gonna say, but, because that's so critical at both sides that.
But,
I'm not gonna do it.
right, I was gonna say that if one of the appointees is Tim Noonan, I don't see the issue of May 12th.
Right, he would have it all set.
Okay, but if he's not an appointee, then you're right, we need to
Yeah.
And, do an orientation.
But we won't know that until after the cutoff.
I-
You know,
Again, depends when they appoint.
so is it appropriate, would you agree that I should contact the governor's staff advising them of our next hearing date and the need for a neutral to be appointed as soon as possible, or at least one to be appointed as soon as possible before, May 12th, otherwise they won't be prepared for the June 5th.
Makes
It
sense.
won't hurt anything.
Yeah.
And after that, our next hearing is in August. We're going to be scheduling, August 7th and 8th. So if we miss the if we miss the May 12th deadline, then we're going to be in the same mess going into problem August 7th and 8th, and all of the dates we pick for hearings thereafter. So if they've got the governor moves as his needs and schedule allow. So hopefully we'll have new neutrals in time by the summer, and then we'll be for sure ready for August and the other hearing days that we schedule.
I've got days reserved in June. I have the 5th and
Unless we have a unit determination hearing, we're not going to be scheduling grievances or unfair labor practices on those days. Well, maybe we could schedule an unfair labor practice on the 26th. So, we could talk about that when we get to scheduling. I was being cautious when it came to scheduling and advising parties as grievances been filed and they've been advancing their scheduling, their schedules that we're looking at, beyond June. Right, Melinda, what's the date that's on the?
So we were going to, we have June 26th hearing to be scheduled, but then
No,
July 10th.
Yeah, no, my question was the emails that are being sent out to parties advising them to prepare the
September through December.
September through December. Yeah.
we also have some Aura time.
So, maybe we'll be able to schedule something in June. And if you'd like, we can add July. We took out our times in July because we were anticipating some of us attending Aura. But
And I would only do it in setting aside some time there for a case that absolutely needs to go at that point in time. Not necessarily just making it a regular scheduled date. We go back to the August.
okay. So that's the status. And again, it's out of our hands, although we can advise the governor's office about where we are and what our needs are and the impact if we don't have a neutral. If we don't have neutrals going forward, at least one neutral for June. So here we go.
Well, let's hope we get some traction on it.
Yeah.
Hey, Federal Mediation and Conciliation Services.
So as some of you know, I know David for sure knows, and Bob, and as you might have seen, reviewing some contracts, whenever the parties seek to create a collective bargaining agreement or negotiate a successive collective bargaining agreement, they often, most times, don't reach full agreement right away. And they have they may, is that closed or is it open? Okay. They may come to what's known as an impasse, meaning they're stuck. And they come to the board and say, hey, we're stuck. Can you appoint a mediator? What the board has done traditionally over, decades has been, at least 2 decades, as far as I know, looking back, is appoint a mediator from Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, which provides this service for free to public employees, employee organizations, and employers. So anytime VSEA and the state of Vermont have reached an impasse, they go to an FMCS mediator, Annie Rutsky, that's her name, who's been serving the state of Vermont and our region for years. And so it's a helpful service because it's free, but they also provide this service to private mediator, to private organizations like UVM, the nurses, the nurse unions. They get involved with impasse negotiations there as well. About a month ago, as part of, DOGE, whatever, FMCS was gutted. Most of their employees were fired. So we can't, I had a conversation with Annie Rutsky, who advised that, at the time of our call, she was on paid leave and it was imminent that that would go away. I need to just call her back just to confirm that. I provided for you folk our list of mediators and fact finders, which actually Mr. Lavelle should be off right now.
Off the list.
Off the list, yeah. Because so right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mediators and fact finders, because Annie Rutsky isn't part of the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. She is considering transitioning to counseling, and she doesn't know if she'll be involved in mediation for our state. She's kind of trying to figure that out. She with a bunch of other people are trying to pivot and figure out what they do and how they do it, and also how to serve the people that she wants served. So she may be back in some capacity, but not right now. So as you see, our list of mediators and fact finders is small. And one of them is Joseph McNeil, who, in my mind, I think he's kind of very management. And I wouldn't recommend him. Well, I think he does a great service, but in terms of it might be challenging for a union to agree to Mr. McNeil. So in terms of the availability of folks who are perceived as neutral as mediators in the state of Vermont is limited. So I've received 2 requests to be mediators, fact finders. One of them was from someone, it was just a form letter and the heading was for Montana. So I just put it in their recycling if, they don't even know where Vermont is. The other one was, it didn't appear kind of qualified for the work that we do. So this may be a challenge finding mediators, fact finders for our folks who reach impasse. And we're going to see that usually it's in the summertime when they're negotiating contracts. I can't tell you which contracts are being negotiated, but they usually end at the end of June or around that time. So we might begin to see the impact of that cut this summer. So I'm going to bring this up with the VBA to advise, to maybe put an announcement in the labor listserv for folks who are mediators or fact finders or arbitrators to submit, requests to be appointed with the board. So that might be a way to fill our pool of people. Questions?
So has there been any impact on the NLRB?
Yeah, I mean, you mean this The FMCS?
No, national.
No, I know what the NLRB
Yeah.
is.
So I presume there's two separate staffs.
There's more than two separate. There-
Okay,
Mhm.
so, when we were at Vancouver, there were about 5 or 6 different federal agencies, having cognizance of trains and planes and automobiles, and I don't know, well, that's a movie. But there was FMCS, there was a National Labor Relations Board staff, there was, the folks for the trains and planes or whatever that group was, and there were a couple of others, I think. Did they all get decimated?
Not, they're all being impacted. I don't know the full extent of how they are, being impacted, but, the NLRB is being impacted.
I know
So-
with the appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know the answer to that. Again, the conference was canceled because about half the people that participate in it, contribute to it, would have attended it, aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
How, if how did this list come about? Did these folks, apply to not us as the people sitting around the table, but to the board at some point to be on the list?
Yes.
Did the board solicit?
I don't know to the answer to the first question, I do know. My understanding is people apply and those names are submitted to the board, and likely, my predecessor did something similar, kind of a preliminary cut, like, are they qualified? And if not, I'm not even gonna present them to you. So if I receive qualified names, people who work in Vermont, want to work in Vermont, know where Vermont is, and do the type of work covered by, our various statutes, I will pass those names on to you and say, hey, these people want to be mediators. What do you say? And you guys say yay, nay, and then their list is added. Their name is added to this list.
It was quite a few years ago, but as I remember it, we had this discussion. And I think Tim sent out we identified potential to add to the FMCS thing, and we sent out letters, I think, asking if they were interested and send us their background information if they were.
And I think we advertised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you told us or you said Ira's off the list now.
Not Ira, George Lovell.
Oh, George Lovell's.
Yeah.
Oh, because he was the FMCS.
Yeah.
Okay. And this list is pretty slim.
It is slim.
I think you made it slimmer by
Yep.
by crossing one off. Not only that, I would be surprised if Joe McNeil would get chosen,
Mhm.
because I mean we've seen him here representing the state.
Yep.
So there's a whole.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a whole community that would say no.
Yeah, I have no idea what he does municipally, but
Yeah.
but he is management.
Right.
state.
I worked a lot with Ira. I know him personally. I'd be really surprised if he's interested in doing fact finding at this point.
Mhm.
Might want to do mediation because that's pretty much thinking on your feet.
Yep.
I don't know Perry Kasich to ever have
Yeah.
worked as a neutral. I know he has an interest in human development.
Yeah.
That organizational development.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So there's not much of a list.
Yeah. And I actually called his office.
Perry?
Yeah, to make sure, because again, I didn't generate this list. I
I
wanted to
know.
make sure these
Yeah.
people were still around and interested. And he did say, I said, you're currently on the list. Are you still active? Are you still, working? Yes, I am. I still want to remain on the list. So, I kept him on the list.
Yeah.
But similarly with, I didn't connect with Mr. McNeil or Ms. Shea, because I did a little kind of background into them, so it didn't raise the question that the other one that I
Yeah.
did connect with,
Yeah.
raised.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know her
Yeah.
at all. I think this is the first time I've ever seen
yeah,
her.
has anyone had experience or seen her name?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know her either.
Yeah, all of the impasses that I've seen where there's been an order have been to Annie Rutsky.
Yeah,
And, and the ones that I've seen personally and the one going, just kind of scanning, past 10 plus years.
you said counseling when you were talking about Annie.
Yeah,
Does she have any intention to go private as a mediator, fact finder, or is counseling mean something?
no, I think, and I don't, again, she was trying to figure out where she's going.
Sure.
So counseling, it would be for private individuals, not as a counselor therapist type, but like management, counseling
Mhm.
groups, and, might be in-house at an organization. But again, maybe she will pivot to hanging up a shingle as a mediator, which would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great, but it also would be costly for
Yeah.
the state or municipalities and the unions representing the represented parties.
Yeah.
So that, it is a cost that folks hadn't budgeted for, contracted for, that we would, there's going to be an impact.
And this lists Annie's, I guess now former business address or soon to be former business address as New Jersey. She was working from the
Albany
office.
office. Yeah. Yeah.
Is she located in the Albany area?
I don't have the answer to that. Yeah.
Because again, travel time.
Yep.
and
Yep.
Per diem, et cetera.
Yep, absolutely.
All that stuff matters to
It does.
to the parties.
It does.
So
And, we've seen over the past 5 years, a lot of, mediations have happened virtually.
Yeah.
So, and, some of them have returned to in-person, some of them, remain virtual or some form of hybrid.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, as again, the two that came in, he was from out west and the other one was from Florida, and didn't appear qualified, kind of qualified for other
Yeah.
things, but not for what we do.
but having this, I think you still can't fly from Burlington to Boston. Can't fly from Burlington to Boston,
No.
right?
Hope so.
That hasn't changed. So, I mean, I used to sort of envision that, in Brookline and Jamaica Plain, there were all these little shingles hanging out of mediators. There's a high concentration of folks
Mhm.
around the Boston area, but that's really expensive
Yeah,
if you start paying for, 2 days driving
and then accommodation.
and then, or, Joe McNeil and I actually, at one point because we picked a guy from, Boston. We had to pay for him to fly to JFK and then fly to Burlington.
Mhm.
And you do that twice and you're really into it for a lot of money before you even, state your case.
Always meet in Brattleboro.
Well, what we chose to do is, we took about to just talk about the Red Sox and drive together.
Yeah.
And go and meet at, the AAA will give you a space for a day and meet with people. But without the, no cost service from the
Yeah.
FMCS, at least, in the area where I used to work, that leaves a big hole.
Mhm.
And, you sort of always knew with either Ira when he was at the FMCS or Annie or the other woman who was there for a while, that you could get somebody from the Albany office relatively quickly, didn't cost any money, you could get them post mediation on the phone
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tune up I'm sure things have changed, but I'd feel really constrained by the lack of the option. I think it might change how the parties operate,
Mhm.
either because you can't get somebody you know, or because you're going to get somebody you don't know.
But it'd still be a transition period before the parties figure out that they've got to, hunker
Yeah.
down and get a better result.
As well as, I was thinking about Annie. Annie, she must have been close to 10 years at the Albany, or must be close to 10 years. There's a whole history that sort of will be of relationships between the parties. There's a whole history that'll be going. Sorry.
It's okay.
It was so strong. I'm sorry. It sounded like,
I was like, I thought I put this
Yeah.
on silent.
that's where I was hearing it from. It's funny.
I knew who it was.
Sorry.
That's it.
I forgot to shut my phone off.
It's just as with so many, I mean, this is a small thing in the big picture of things that are going to be lost due to the move to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. But this is a small state and it's a small community, and the loss scales up. And
It was definitely waste.
There may, if there's a need that arises, somebody will fill in. And you might see more activity come available as the need.
yeah,
That's true,
Yeah.
but it doesn't change the expense. I mean, the expense is going to be there that
It's not free. It
no,
won't be free.
When was the last time you had to act on?
This summer, there are a number of times, like Bob usually gets the notice of impasse. It'll be people, for last summer, and you can see from the annual report, we had 8 requests for impasse, where a mediator needs to be selected. 4 of those matters, they were able to resolve it with the assistance of a mediator. The next step was arbitration fact finding, where we appointed an arbitrator fact finder who wasn't Annie, was someone else, and finding those people was also hard for us, and the parties.
sometimes the parties suggest it and have agreed to who the person should be, and those are fairly straightforward.
It costs some money. It might be an incentive for them to make some compromises and come to an agreement too.
Well, that's one of the outcomes I'm hoping for.
So is the board involved after they have chosen a mediator?
If they still can't reach an agreement, then it goes to arbitration. We get involved with, a final best offer. I'm saying that backwards. But we monitor what happens, and then at the end, we get involved if there still isn't any, could get involved if there still isn't any resolution. So we could also, so.
State contracts are the ones that the final best offer issue comes in on. I don't remember. I remember state colleges. We had last best offer. I remember the state of Vermont non-management unit. We had a couple of last best offers. I don't remember it. I don't think we get involved in any from municipal government.
but
No, we don't have, the board does not have jurisdiction over impasse for municipal government. That goes to the Department of Labor. And so understanding that the Department of Labor may not even, whether they have a list, I don't know, or whether they relied on Annie as well.
I assume it's still in the statute that
It is.
in the muni law, when there's an impasse, you have to notify the commissioner,
Correct.
who is, I guess, theoretically supposed to assist the parties
Yep.
to find a neutral. I used to, when I remembered to do it, because the school support staff, they all fall under the muni law.
Okay,
I used to send a form letter that says, here's your notice. The parties will work together to find an acceptable neutral. Thank you very much. And I don't ever recall the commissioner having been involved. And I did a lot of those. But I don't know what it's like for, the highway departments or the, town employees
Right.
and that sort of thing, whether they really used a list that came from the commissioner, or whether the commissioner had a list.
Well, in Wichita, recently, we had an issue between the town manager and the chief of police. They couldn't resolve it, and the town hired mediator. I don't know where they found the mediator, but they didn't go to the State Department of Labor, or they just hired a mediator to try to.
That likely would not have been covered by the municipal statute
Right,
because the
right,
chief of
right.
police is a supervisor,
Right.
manager. So, but there's one union representative that has several times filed a grievance, a municipal grievance with us, and also has reached out asking for assistance with an impasse. And I redirected them to the statute and that it's the Commissioner Department of Labor. And so there's been, whether they've received, they might not be as skilled as you in or experienced in what to do and how to basically to kind of take the matter and initiate, you'll find the person or not. So anyway.
Like I said, I only did it when I remembered.
Yeah.
to do it. It was really sort of, nobody that I dealt with was really attuned
Mhm,
to that.
mhm. Yeah, I'm not, yeah. So,
It would be interesting to know if there is a list in
mhm.
the commissioner's office.
And maybe I will follow up on that. And, if they did rely on FMCS and what,
So, Judith, on this list that you didn't generate, you mentioned some of these are no longer, viable.
mhm.
Can you just go down and how many are
George
left,
Lovell is out.
right?
So Annie Rutsky is likely out. So, and the last person on the first page is likely out because of their experience in Vermont representing, one side of the labor management team. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 names.
And who are the 1, 2, 3s? Perry?
Yep. Ira.
Oh, I thought you said earlier that you take Ira off.
No, that was David's concern, that he wasn't sure that he still did fact finding.
Yeah, he's really up in it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's no longer.
I've seen his name recently used,
Oh.
like recently in the time that I've been here. So, yeah, so we do need more mediators and fact finders. So one thing that I am going to do is connect with the Vermont Bar Association. But in addition to that, should we reach out? To whom should we reach out? What are your recommendations? Soliciting
I hear Alan
input.
Millard's not doing it.
He's too highly opinionated.
Yeah.
I think you should have helped out with the chief of police and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could write a novel on that.
Bar Association, is there still a mediation group?
there is. Yeah. And also there's a labor and employment group. So both of those,
College over here still have a mediation.
which college?
What was that?
No, that was Woodbury.
Woodbury
Doesn't exist.
doesn't
Yeah.
exist. and-
Does not exist. Yeah.
Kinds of times.
Champlain has a mediation program. I know that. So I can connect with them. And yeah, but we can't connect with FMCS because they don't
Right.
exist anymore. So
Nobody's answering the phone.
no one's answering the phone.
And then maybe the Vermont League would know. I don't know. Or not.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You mean the Vermont League of Cities and Towns?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but, so I'll connect with, the VBA, maybe reach out to Champlain, ask the Department of Labor if they have a list. And I'm sure it's shorter than ours, but who knows, maybe they'll have more people.
Now, what about the school systems? I mean, the education system, I presume they get into fact finding and mediation often. Is that always Annie or one of those, or
Well,
have they developed
again,
other
for the, again, my experience is longer and longer ago, but almost as a general rule, Vermont NEA would go, and school districts would go to the FMCS first. Because didn't cost anything.
Right.
With the exception of, there was, in my experience, this hybrid mediated fact finding that we just sort of invented between the fact finders, where you would use somebody as a mediator, and then if the mediation didn't result in a settlement, the same mediator, that mediator would then become the fact finder. So that the mediator already had a lot of the background. You didn't have to submit as much by way of exhibits, so-called facts, et cetera. And you couldn't use the folks from the FMCS for that because they didn't do fact finding. They don't do fact finding. That was taking work away from the private sector.
Right.
They didn't do that. So, for example, if I knew I could get the XYZ school district to agree to do a mediated fact finding, we'd pick somebody from the private sector that we knew did that. So it would be a Gary Altman, a Mike Ryan, those Susan Brown, those kind of people who would do that.
Okay.
But
And who would have that kind of a list? With the NEA?
sort of like
With the
sort of like the answer.
Superintendent's Association?
I'm sure Vermont NEA would have a list of folks who service.
Yeah. When going back to last 2024, where the board was asked 8 times to get involved in impasses, and 4 of those we had to then assign a fact finder. Finding a fact finder was challenging, and the names, one of the names that you raised no longer was around. So those are, it was with the college, Vermont State College. So those folks, the people that they had used in the past weren't available. So I think there's a dearth, and we all, we're all suffering. So letting folk know that there's a need out there, and especially,
Well,
like help,
well, I was
Judge
just
Tor is retired, and she's now hung out a shingle as a mediator.
Okay.
So, there are people who have this ability, are more than experienced, well qualified. So, but letting them know we need folk, I think, is the first step.
well, my only reason for bringing that up was, there are quite a number of union and management entities out there that may have had to go into that private market, and somehow we should reach out to them to say, look, we're trying to develop an overall list for these functions with the demise of the federal services.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but some folks, as I recall, both had a private practice, but they're also listed with AAA.
Mhm.
You know, again,
And AAA is,
the American Arbitration Association, AAA, and
It's not
in
road choice.
yeah, no, I know.
I'm sorry.
For anyone who's listening, I just wanted them to know what that was.
Yeah. And sometimes you would ask, you could ask, you know, could you ask Annie? Who else is out there? You know, who does she? It's a community, but again, the people I know are like my contemporaries, so it's an aging community.
Yeah,
for sure.
that during our conversation, that's something that she had shared, that she's concerned because there aren't a lot of people out there, is what she had said.
Yeah.
You know, and she was concerned for the public sector and also the private sector, in particular UVM and the hospital and its staff and management. So
Yeah, 'cause I think Annie's background is in healthcare.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I've got, you know, some follow-up to do, good ideas from folk. And hopefully we can generate a list of folks who are within driving distance. So, okay.
All right. Card check election observation.
So as you know, last legislative session, the Vermont legislature amended the statute related to petitions for election of exclusive bargaining representatives. What that means is folks, and it's folks who are interested, municipal employees who are interested, it didn't apply to the state employees, municipal employees who are interested in forming a union, if they included letters of interest or cards expressing their desire to have Union X be their exclusive bargaining representative, and there wasn't a pre-existing union, and there wasn't a challenge to the unit determination, then if they had 50% plus one, the board would then issue an order of certification certifying that union. As you'll see from the annual report, we had a number of folk take advantage of that last year, and we're seeing most of the petitions that are filed now are for card check. We do have some that are not, but most of them are for card check. An issue that has come up is where a union wants to add others to the existing union. For example, in a school, you have paras, paraprofessionals working in the school. The union wants to add other positions that weren't included in the original certification, or other class of positions that weren't in the certification. I've seen that, like, that's been happening more in the school situation. What that requires, however, which I don't think the legislature might have, I don't know that this was anticipated, where the original certification order excluded that group can't be added by card check, because the board has made a determination, or the parties have stipulated, that this group shouldn't be part of the unit. So for example, in your packet of cases, we had a situation where firefighters wanted to add lieutenants to a unit, and the board's order from decades ago, 1974, which I thought was 40 years ago, was 50 years ago. It's actually 50 years ago, because yeah, exactly. So that hurt me too. Yeah. So 50 years ago, yeah. So decades before Michelle was born, 50 years ago, the board found that lieutenants should be excluded. So where that's the case, it's the burden of the union who wants to add lieutenants to demonstrate why lieutenants should now be included. So it can't go through the card check. So we've seen it there. We've seen it in another situation where there was the card check. We've seen a card check petition be filed where there was a pre-existing union. So where there's a pre-existing union, you can't go by card check. You have to have an election. Even if the pre-existing union and the management never entered into a collective bargaining agreement, because the board has certified Union X as exclusive
Does that
bargaining.
Manchester?
No, as the exclusive bargaining representative of this group of employees, there has to be an election to kind of change it. So those are things that kind of little, not wrinkles, but where, you know, some of the parties might have been disappointed because it didn't happen, you know, in the card check process, because their facts didn't quite fit with the card check process. There was a pre-existing union, or the prior order certifying union explicitly excluded this group. So the unit determination, if so, an employer can say, hey, I don't think this group fits in that group. That has happened, but the parties have reached an agreement. Where the parties can't reach an agreement, those are opportunities still where the board would need to get involved in a hearing.
What if the management said, we don't have a problem with lieutenants going into the union?
It's
How
still,
would that work?
no, there's an existing order by the board. The board would need to get involved. Yeah, the board, the folks can't amongst themselves. The board would need to determine whether that was an appropriate unit. And the board might say that, but
The union would have to petition the board and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
management could
should
support
say,
it if
we're
they
okay
wanted.
with it because, and some of the factors might be, the position has changed over the course of 50 years.
Right,
They no
right.
longer have supervisory authority, and you'd probably, you know,
Right.
and again, in that case, and maybe we should be in executive session because we're talking about a particular case. And if you want, we can forego talking about this until we talk about
No,
other
I wasn't
cases.
referring to that case, but I was just in general. And it could vary from, the title doesn't really say.
Oh, absolutely. Mhm,
You know, it could vary from town to town,
Yep.
depending on the size of the force.
absolutely. Yep. So I just wanted you to be aware of that in the event that there is a unit determination hearing, or you ultimately have a unit clarification. In one of the situations that I described, it went from a card check petition filing to a unit clarification. So I just, you know, that wasn't something that I had anticipated, and it has come up, and I just wanted to let you know about that.
Has that been resolved? The case you just
No, it's pending.
pending?
There will be a hearing, and that's one of the matters that you have to pick a hearing date for.
Was that was that sort of a surprise or you know, did the parties not realize that till it happened?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
Is it too new to anticipate that there'll be an amendment or?
I don't know that there'd be an amendment, but I think something that we should do is amend our form to say, if there's, you know, you're seeking to provide the existing order of certification, because ours are in state archives. So if you're the union, you should probably have the order of certification. And so it should be your giving it to us versus our digging it out.
Be a carbon copy on onion skin
Yeah.
paper.
So that, but I don't know that the legislature, there'd be a number of things they'd have to revise to, if they're going to allow a card check to, you know, supersede what the board has ordered previously.
So best that they know at the very outset.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
change, and the change in the form will do that.
Yeah, well, it will alert them to dig it up. And and then they'll look at it and they're like, oh, golly,
Yeah.
lieutenants are excluded. Gee, why did, things have changed. So, and it might prompt a conversation between me and the unit rep to say, wait, I don't think I think what you're looking for is a unit clarification, not the card check, because the board has previously ruled, or the parties have stipulated that this position should be outside the unit, doesn't qualify to be in the unit.
If there was no opposition to it, say in your hypothetical lieutenants, could the parties just fix it between themselves by changing the recognition clause?
No, I don't think so. I think that we would need to we would need to, acknowledge it. We would need to, authorize it in some way, and and maybe, again, going back to, I think that's similar to Alan's question, is the board accepts this because the position has changed and blah, blah, blah. They don't have supervisory responsibilities. We amend our order of certification to include blah, 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 whatever. Just that might be a way to address it.
Okay, anything else on that one? Hearing nothing. Status of cases.
This might be appropriate to go into executive session.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, approved. Yeah,
All
okay.
right.
Melinda, so that means we're not recording, or acknowledge the time. And
I have at 10:13 a.m. We move to executive session.
we're still recording.
I mean, one.
It's under the dots that say more.
Back into public meeting mode. And on our agenda right now is panel assignments for the future. And I'm looking at a sheet updated on April 14th, 25 board assignments. At the current time, we have, other than May 5, no, we have nothing scheduled in May. Correct?
Correct.
So June 5 is the first area, and we need hopefully a neutral to be appointed within the next 2 weeks in order to fulfill that date.
Mhm.
So we have June 5 and June 26. On this list, we have July 10 and 17 as possibilities, and 31st.
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
that,
no, you don't
No,
have,
they're not on. You have a,
it's the other list, that list, yeah.
yeah, so the
That's it.
shorter one is the one that. the board-
Melinda generated a list with other potential dates if we wanted to include it to make it easier for scheduling purposes for you, Bob, since that's your.
Oh, just me?
Yeah.
I'm feeling awful privileged.
You
right now.
are.
Just to confirm.
just to clarify, May 18 through 22 are not going to happen. Is that
Right
correct?
now, unless we have a unit
An experience.
determination, which
I can remove it off my account. I think
Right.
that's what, okay. Blacked out
yes,
those
you can
dates.
take that off.
Okay.
So right now,
Okay,
Bob,
yeah,
I'm sorry, yeah,
I'm back with you.
got it.
June 5, June 26. So do we want to put in a July date? I think we probably should. And let's see, it looks like it would be just glancing at it quickly, it looks like, it's my turn. So do we continue going with Alan's replacement and
No, we say
Karen's
neutral.
position?
We say
could we
neutral.
just say neutral 1 and neutral 2?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just writing neutral.
Which day?
Well, I'm right now, I'm just picking one of the days. And I will ask whoever the union person will be as to what day works for them, because they all work for me.
Okay.
And it looks like Roger, in that middle of July time, are there dates that are better for you?
You're saying July 10th.
Either July 10, 17, or 31.
No, 24.
It could be we
Oh,
took it
yeah,
out
that's right.
because
That's
that's
right.
when we,
July 24. It could be any of those.
I don't have any conflict with any of those dates.
Okay. Just gonna double check. Gee, I have no dots on anything that day. So 17th?
Yes.
All right, so we'll do July, set up a panel for July 17th.
I do have a question. Judith, you mentioned that Alra may have a schedule,
a 1 day.
a 1-day thing. Do we have it?
I don't have a definite date on that. When I do, I'll send it on. Let me double check.
Doesn't come with a smoked meat sandwich, that's the problem.
So the July 10th, is that neutral 1 or neutral 2?
Let's start with 1.
Okay.
And that's
So
the 17th we're doing, right?
17th, not the 10th.
I'm sorry, Roger, the half-day program would be on July 22, and would be like an afternoon program so that folks out west would be able to be on. It's being developed now, but the date would be July 22nd.
So July 17, we're talking about for a panel.
Okay. And I'm good with that.
All right. And August, we have the 7th and 8th already scheduled. Is there a reason we didn't have the 14th on this list?
Yep, Melinda and I looked at our schedules.
That wasn't good?
Yep.
Okay. Just asking. Okay, so August 28th. Looks like we got David and Michelle on the 7th and 8th, so this will be a Bob. And that's gonna be
right before
neutral.
Labor
That's gonna
Day.
be neutral too.
So the August 7th and 8th is neutral 2?
Yeah.
And then the August 28th is neutral 1 again?
No, we gotta swap back and forth.
I'm sorry, August 28th does not work for me. I'm sorry, that shouldn't be there.
That's,
Okay.
So,
August 28th isn't.
yeah, Melinda, August 14th is fine for me. I don't know. Yeah, so August 28th did not work for me.
How about August 21?
It'd be the day before vacation.
Uh,
So it's your choice.
no,
No, I mean, if we were to go, I wouldn't be available for Friday. If we needed a continuation on Friday, I would not be available.
Right, that's was my
So
concern.
7th and 14th, I mean, the 14th works for me, but,
Okay, August 14 work first.
and so who's on? Understood.
That would be Bob. Is right. So I'm gonna go neutral one again. Because it's so close to the other one. And then between David and Roger,
Well, I'm on 7 and 8, so
yeah,
it should
well,
probably should be.
sometime we've gotta,
I understand. Probably should be
Flip it
Roger
up.
if,
Yes,
you're good on the 14th,
I am.
you'd be good. Because it's so close to the other one, we'll go with Roger again. Getting used to his move things. Okay. We already have something scheduled on the 18th. And it's United Steelworkers versus the town of Brattleboro, if anybody has any conflicts or anything. So I don't know why. And that's a full month after the others, so. So, David, I hear you like Brattleboro.
oh, yeah. Well, I'm always happy to learn about another part of the state.
Michelle, are you available that day?
Yes.
Okay. Where are we at? Neutral?
That'll be neutral 2.
Yeah, neutral 2. When's our next board meeting? This is April.
Usually October.
July,
Yeah, it should be July.
So let's get that scheduled in here. July 10 work?
Or, yeah.
July 10?
Yes,
Yeah.
August, September, October.
So are we only doing the one in September?
Well, I haven't got
Yeah.
there yet. I was all of a sudden realized we've got a board meeting coming up and I wanted to put that in. So I got the board meeting tentatively October 9th.
October 9th.
Well, wait a minute. No, I'm not even here in this
Oh.
day. So board meeting either the 2nd or the 23rd. What are people's preference?
of October.
2nd?
I'm sorry, Bob.
So let me ask this question first. When do the budget instructions typically come out?
they come out like the end of the summer, like early September,
September-ish.
so early October.
Okay, well, let's go with October 2nd. Board meeting.
And we're not scheduling a hearing for September 25th.
I haven't,
He's just doing the board meetings now.
I just wanted to pop the board meeting in.
Gotcha.
Normally 3 months would bring us to January, but I think we usually like to have an opportunity for a board meeting in December in case something has come up with the administration or the budgeting process, so.
But we want to be able to do the annual report.
Right, so I'm talking a possible of 2 board meetings and one in December and one in January to deal with that issue you were just talking about. But I'm worried that if something comes up that we need to meet as a board because of budget recommendations or legislation we've learned about or whatever. What I was thinking about was rather than taking one of these as a hearing date, it would be a potential board meeting date, but it could be canceled and be nothing. That's all I was trying to look at it from. But back to September 25th, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Oh, September 25, I don't think I have anything on. September 25, I'm putting myself down. I'm gonna put down neutral 2.
So neutral 2 is on the 18th. Is it okay to have it on the 25th as well?
Yeah, well, in order to change up the panel a bit,
Okay.
that's all I was looking at there. And David, are you available the 25th?
Sure.
So
So I'm not
Uh,
unavailable.
And then it's gotta be Roger until we get somebody else to be a chair to.
So I'm suggesting that we put grievance of Bazile at September 25th.
I'm
How do you spell it?
Bazile. I'm sorry, Melinda, you were going to say something.
I think I know the answer. You said grievance of Bazile?
Correct.
Okay, I was just,
And Roger, are you free the 25th of September?
Yes.
So. I'm gonna skip October 9th. Just because we have things right in a row, 3 in a row, and go to October 16th. And David, are you available October 16th?
Yeah.
Melinda, for the unavailability dates for Chivers, you have October 15th. Was that supposed to be a 16?
that should be 16, yeah.
So do you have a case for that day or?
No, it's a matter that they have unavailability October 16, November 6th, 13th, and 27th. So if we had so you're not available October 23rd.
I'm not gonna schedule myself
Okay.
for 9, 16, or 23.
So maybe we can skip either 9 or 16 and schedule the 23 as grievance of Chivers.
Okay. What's the last name?
Chivers.
Okay, that would be David, Michelle, and neutral 1. Michelle, good with that?
Yes.
What case number is that?
I'm sorry, say again.
What case number is that?
2514.
2514.
Hey, October 30. I have myself, neutral 2, and Roger.
Yes.
And you'll just plug a case in there?
Yep, when we get one
Yeah,
to fit in
that's
there.
fine. November 13th, I have the next one. And I would put David, November 13th.
I think I'm not available then. No, I could do the 13th.
Huh?
I can do it.
Okay. And it's gotta be neutral one. Shall?
Yep.
Okay. Right? And Thanksgiving Day, November 20th. Oh, wait a minute.
No, it's the next week.
I know that. I'm just thinking that we should bring a turkey dinner in that day anyway. Let's see what I do. So I was David, so
So we don't have dates listed in December. I don't know why we could.
I
go
have
through the
December
end of the-
4, 11, and 18 on the proposed list.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So November 20 would be Bob. Yeah, no jumping dates here.
So you're on the 30th, the 13th, and the 20th? Fine.
No, David's on the 13th.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna put neutral one. But you're on the November 20.
Yes.
December 4, David, or is that first ski day?
Uh, well, as long
Hopefully it'll be before December 4th.
yeah, it'd be nice if it's before then. Although they're taking out your chairlift, Alan, so
Are we
What's
doing
that?
a
they're
board
taking
meeting?
out your chairlift,
Yeah,
right?
they're putting in a.
Well, I was thinking if we do a board meeting, it might be December
Ever
18th.
ride
Oh, okay.
Because then if we cancel it, we don't need it.
On one of those six-pack things.
Oh, yeah, we have a.
Oh, you have one now?
Six-pack
Yeah.
with a hood on it. That you can bring it down and you, windy days. Never mind me, Bob.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 other days to ski that week, so.
Oh, okay. All right, David. A neutral 2. Michelle, you good that day?
Yep. That was the 4th.
That was 4.
Okay.
And the 11th. So I'm gonna say the 18th is a potential board date. which could be canceled if we don't need it. And on the 11th, Bob, neutral 1, and Roger.
Yes.
So do you want to start mixing it up? You know, you're with Roger and
Yeah, I know. I was thinking start the new year, mixing it up a little bit. But right now, because all these dates are within a week of each other, you know, I don't want to overburden anybody. Might be that Roger and I have a falling out.
yeah, get tired of your jokes and.
And we'd have a hard time finding a mediator to work that.
A neutral mediator, right?
It's true, we'll be in tough shape.
And that's as far as I want to go for right now.
Yep, that makes
And,
sense.
we know that in January, we're gonna have a board meeting on one of those Thursdays.
You want to just pick that now so that folks
Okay.
can calendar it?
Yeah, that would,
Oh, it's just the first.
It was the 23rd this year, right?
Yeah, the first is the Thursday, so the 8th is the first. You know, so I'd say the
Okay,
8th or the
January 8th.
15th, for folk.
January 8th. Is that good for folks?
We're talking about full board meeting,
Yeah.
Yeah,
as far as I can see.
when is, yeah, likewise.
Now, question. Would it be better for our then April board meeting, to be on a Monday and avoid out the legislative parking and stuff like that? Did anybody have an issue finding a parking space this morning?
no,
No. There were still a few left when I came. I was the last one to arrive, I think. But it was getting close.
but Mondays are fine. So,
I just was thinking that they're not usually in session on Mondays and parking strain is a little less. That was my only thought this morning. I was surprised to find a place right here on
Mhm.
Baldwin Street, but
Oh, I didn't try both.
and it allow for another hearing date for that Thursday. So,
So do you want to make it, I would maybe not make it so,
no, I wasn't thinking scheduling it right
okay,
now.
got it, but in
I
the
just
future,
wanted to get
I see.
people's
I
feelings
see. Mhm.
about that.
That's fine. I mean,
Makes a certain
Because we'll
amount.
have
Yeah,
2 more board members and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden we're talking about
that's a
8
good
or
point.
9 people.
Yeah.
certainly late,
Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
good point.
later January, right? Because it won't come in.
Well, they'll be into the first Tuesday after the first. Generally, first Tuesday or Wednesday.
Be the 6th is the first Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is the first
And I'm
is on
just
Thursday.
thinking on the 8th, there won't be a lot of committees tackling huge work right at that point in time. Is it? Yeah, so. this is
I
the
would-
second.
After the governor, like early on, it's very, very crowded.
Oh, that's right.
And then it wanes a little bit and then towards the end, it gets.
So maybe we don't do the 8th, maybe we should do the Monday,
I'd say the 12th.
Monday, the 12th for the board meeting. January 12th. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Good point.
A while looking that far ahead, but
Okay. Any other things we need on,
just recognizing Alan, which hopefully, even though we're gonna miss you, might be your last board meeting, and I appreciate your being here and being
Yeah.
here afterwards to help your colleagues deliberate.
I really appreciated working with all of you. I wish you good luck going forward and I have a lot of respect for your volunteer work here on the board and appreciate everything you've done for us, executive director. You've done an excellent job coming in behind somebody who was here for 30 years.
For 40. Who's counting?
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
I still remember interviewing you to.
I remember you. I said to myself, who's this guy? Because I don't think, did people introduce themselves? Maybe you did.
Well, probably, I would hope.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if it was Pat Moulton that was the chair at that time or.
No, she was not that. She didn't interview me. I knew Pat Moulton from.
Okay.
She was down our neck of the woods, Brattleboro, Springfield. I knew her before
I
she.
was trying to remember who the labor commissioner was.
Annie Noonan.
Was it Annie
Yeah.
that we interviewed with that day? Yeah, and we had Bob Paolini from the Bar Association. And was it Casey, Mike Casey from BSEA then? Mike,
Connor Casey.
no. It was their council, general counsel.
Oh, I forget.
And then, was the union guy from,
Anyway, I sure fooled them.
well, he was one of the few ones that, because he had been management and he had been a union member, that we,
Yeah.
recommended as a neutral.
Sorry, we haven't adjourned yet. So, yeah.
And in hindsight, I think both those experiences have been really helped me. The board to be able to take into account both sides and all these state grievances and things that we've had. I've had to drag David along sometimes.
Oh, you're not the first one to have said that. And especially if my wife counts. She's dragged me along
Oh, yeah.
for a lot of years.
I want to speak.
Well, motion to adjourn?
But I had a question about, while we're all here, and I don't know if we have time or not, but
Is it just if we're going to,
specific cases.
maybe we can get out? Because right now this is being recorded and it's part of the meeting. If it's kind of,
It's something else. It's something deliberation.
Motion?
No move.
Take second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
yeah, Melinda needs to.
That's at 10:58.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
Wait,
You mentioned